Beloved brothers and sisters, my fellow leaders, this is Vanto in Cape Town. I still continue to say welcome to everyone who has joined us. A few weeks ago, I received an invitation from my mentor and spiritual father who is in Philadelphia, and I heeded to the invitation of the African Kingdom Federation. And in this meeting, it was addressed by Chief Semako. It was also addressed by the Empress, Queen Sheba III. And whilst I still did not have a full knowledge of who these people are, I began to listen to the life-changing presentation that they have given. And the background that they give is about something that both me and you know very well, that as Africa, we have got 5 regions, and these regions are economic regions. And for all of us, we know that the regions are put together so that people of that economy can be able to grow together by way of trading together. And lately, you also understand that we had our signed Africa Free Trade Agreement. These economic regions are 5 of them. And there is a North region, there is a Central region, there is an East one of COMESA, there is a West of ECOWAS, and there is a one of SADC. We also remember that in the regions, the eventual goal is that each region has its own currency. In this case, of which the ECOWAS was already planning a currency on ECO. And we also understand that all our currencies in Africa, they are fiat currencies in the sense that they are not backed by any mineral. And we do understand as well that the changing of currencies to be fiat currencies, it has disadvantaged the African countries more than any other country in the world, because our currencies were strong, 1-to-1 with pound, but after they were removed from being backed by the minerals we have, of which we lead the world with these minerals, our currencies, they went to a runaway where they became weaker and weaker, with the speculation of those who continue to loot freely from us without having to pay, because they know that we are not backed by any of those resources that we have. Back to the meeting. The people who are addressing the meeting, they introduced themselves as a 6th region, which is the state of African diaspora. Now, this is a region that consists of 350 million people. It is a region that is bigger than United States of America. It is a region that has got capabilities of even challenging places like China. I say this because this region, it is the richest region of Africa. The diaspora are not only the people who went away about 500 years ago on ship to be enslaved, but it is the brain drain of the Africa intelligentsia that moved out to go and work in the first world. Now, that is a huge economy which is extremely rich. When I say rich, I mean mentally. That is extremely rich even academically. Now, this region, which is the 6th region, was officiated by the African Union to its existence, and therefore that region also has its own prime minister. And this is the region that gave us an invitation because, like I said, that even the West Africa region was planning on its own currency. This region also has a currency. The currency of this region is Lumi, and this region is headquartered in Jamaica. when you have time, just Google the word maroons, and you will see the history behind it. For that is the place where it is headquartered. Now, we were invited to come and participate in this Lumi, which is not just a digital currency that has got its own reserve bank. Now, all our currencies in Africa, they have a particular weakness, and that includes all our reserve banks. The first thing is that we are in the fiat system. We are not backed by any energy or mineral. The second thing is that all our banks, they cannot be monetized against their assets. So that makes all African banks to be the satellites of Paris, the satellites of London. They do not really have a great value as banks. But this bank, the Reserve Bank of the State of African Diaspora, the difference in this bank is that it is not depending on the fiat system. It is backed by an energy, which we are going to be discussing it in the coming time. Everybody knows that right now, all the fiat system is beginning to fall. It is taking a free fall since the year 2008. Those who thought that they are going to print money forever in order to cover the collapse of the finances in 2008, hoping that the future generations are going to pay, they never predicted that there will be a time coming, such as this time of this reset. I call it a reset because there is no other time since 2008 that we had such a loss of business because of the pandemic that we have. In all the money printing that they had, they never thought that there will be time of pandemics. Now, other countries are beginning to plan their jump off the fiat system. And as they are going to be jumping off the fiat system, already we see the rise of the Bitcoin. Now, the Bitcoin is a digital currency indeed, but it is just a cryptocurrency. It is not linked to any place. Now, many people will say that, okay, this is the most democratic currency, but it is not, in the sense that the duty of a currency is to encourage communities to trade together. Now, Bitcoin does not and will not empower Africa to come out of its economic woes. We all know that the colonizer, he came to take our wealth. And after taking our wealth, he gave us the kind of education that will limit us not to get the wealth back from him. When we say we are qualified academically, we simply mean that we are approved by our colonizer, that our qualification is the one that is sufficient for us to manage the wealth of the colonizer. If you are a qualified accountant and having to receive the approval from London, from Paris, those who are in the Francophone, from Lisbon, those who are in the Portuguese areas, we simply mean that our kind of education is that one which the colonizer says, this engineer is qualified to manage the assets that I took from his land. Our qualifications were never designed to repossess what our colonizers have given to us. And that is why they gave us the qualification that is going to make us to keep their assets, not to take them back from them. That is why we were only able to, in our limitations of qualification, we were only able to see political privileges, which from the year 1960, all of us, we fought so much that we must get back the political privileges. But by virtue of being qualified from the colonizers' education, we are not able to think about economic privileges. That is why the issue of the trade, which is the free trade and the borderless trade, to us does not matter, because we have no appreciation and understanding of the economic privileges. The only thing that makes one to have an economic privilege, which was done by the Europe, was to group themselves together under one currency so that they will become a power that is above other powers and even challenge the US or maybe China or whatever. But with us, because of being relaxed about this issue, we never thought about the need of a currency that is going to make us to rise and also rise with our economic privileges. Therefore, this state of Africa diaspora, they had, a good mind, which was enough to make them to move out of this thing that is blinding us economically and have a currency which is backed by solar in this case, which I will explain later. And we are now having an opportunity as Africa, which is going to enable us to have an opportunity of beginning a currency together that will enable us to partner together with the state of Africa diaspora and make them our number one partner in trade and not have China or US as our number one partner in trade. Now, that is why it is important for us to rally around a single currency, and that currency is already approved by the Central African Bank, which is the reserve bank of the whole continent. It is approved as a currency that can be used. Therefore, we got invited in this meeting so that we can start registering as many people as we can have who are going to operate under a currency. We have no experience as Africans of starting a country from scratch. The only experience we have is of inheriting countries that were already colonized. It is not starting a country from scratch, but to inherit a country and starting a country from scratch, those are two different things. When you start a country from scratch, you know the benefits of the beginning of a currency. We are there at a place which is far better than those who started the currency of Bitcoin. Oh yes, they are millionaires. They are doing much better now because they started a currency. But imagine when you have an opportunity of starting a bank, a reserve bank-based currency. That opportunity, many of us do not know how it looks like. The Afrikaners, they know because they had their opportunity of starting a currency after the British in 1948. We as South Africans particularly, we do not have an experience of starting a currency, not even a country. That is why our currency was on a free fall until today, because it is not backed by anything. But when it was backed by gold, it was going pound for pound with the British pound as well as the US currency. Now, I understand that this is a complex presentation, but imagine this. When you are part of this currency, you stand an opportunity to trade with your fellow Zambian counterparts, who have, of course, done extremely well where they are right now. We will allow some of us to join their groups to see what they have done. You have an opportunity to trade with all your African brothers. And I, for one, as a South African, I also have an opportunity to straighten all the images that have been put by, the BBC, the CNN, and all the other main media about the xenophobia between South Africa and other fellow African countries. But this is an opportunity for me as an individual to have networks not only in South Africa, but also in all the other African countries, as well as in the SOAT region, which is the State of Africa Diaspora. I have an opportunity to partner with a fellow Africa Diaspora brother or sister in a business. Now, this has opened a huge playing field. It has leveled the playing field, because in our present currencies, we have red tapes that are limiting us never to take what was taken from us. But with this currency, as you will see in the presentation, this is the same currency that has written a notice to all those that we owe as African countries, to say that there is a currency that can pay back all the debt. Now, that shows us now that these are people who understand economic privileges. My brothers and sisters, my invitation to you today is to come to the Lumi nation, because under this currency, we are going to understand economic privileges. And in each presentation, we begin to see the original Africa education that was never given by a colonizer who took away our lands, to make sure that with that kind of qualification, we will never take back what belongs to us in the beginning. That is why the State of Africa Diaspora has partnered with African kingdoms, because it is indeed African kingdoms that were dispossessed of their economy. Democracies cannot take back what was taken by the colonizers, because democracies are also instruments of the colonizers to keep the status quo. They gave us an education that will enable them to continue looting. They also gave us the kind of democracy that will enable them to keep the riches that they took from Africa. I hope this, with all the other presentations that are going to come, it will be a beginning that gives you an idea of where we are with respect to the Lumi. And also, that will also give you the understanding of the pace at which we need to go for us as a chapter in South Africa, which the more we bring together communities, the more we are able to have an economic power that is going to rise. I speak as a layperson. I speak as a person who has never done anything that is about economics, but I do have sufficient common sense to understand what the colonizer has done to us through our education and through the democratic institutions that he has put, that is going to keep his own wealth to himself. I don't want to confuse myself further than this. This is what I have gathered from the Lumi, and I am inviting you to all our meetings so that you will continue learning together with myself, because every time we go to these meetings, I learn something new about the economic privileges which I've been blind to all along. With these words, I say to you, welcome. I say to you, run as fast as you can to rally around this new currency. I have sent other people even links that are as basic as how to start a country, for them to come to a syllabus that was never given to us in any university, because we were never put at a place where we can start our own thing. The nation building tools we don't have, the country building tools we don't have, but we simply inherited what they started, and they kept it as European as it can be, so that we can inherit that European culture and inherit and keep it and manage it for them. That is where I will stop for now, and thank you for listening to my very long presentation.